in it. She's like, you or
Is it
her?
on, Jane?
Oh,
Well,
Okay. All right. Good
I gotta ask you
afternoon.
something.
Good evening.
about.
It is February the 7th, 2022 at 6 PM. It's time to call the Franklin City Council meeting to order. Ms. Rhodes, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Austin?
Here.
Mr. Dugan?
Here.
Ms. Jones?
here.
Ms. McGinnis?
Here.
Ms. Nally?
Here.
Mr. Prine?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Brian Reese, will you do the prayer and pledge,
Will do.
please?
Invite you to join me. Our Father in heaven, we come to you tonight. We just thank you for the privilege again to be in this hall. I just pray that you'd be with everything that takes place tonight. May you grant those who are making our decisions as council just wisdom and discernment from on high, that they may know the right decision to make. And thank you for the position that they hold as they steward this city and make decisions that affect lives. And I just thank you so much for their willing heart, and I pray that you just help them as they serve you. And I do pray for their families as well and the sacrifices they make to have them here all the time. And we just thank you for that. Give us a good evening tonight. Thank you for our first responders, and I'm sure how busy they've been lately. Just thank you for their hard work. We ask all this in your name. Amen. But just stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Thank you, everyone. That gets us to any announcements, presentations, or public comment that is not on the agenda. I'll
Just wanted to make sure everyone is aware that March 10th is the city address. It's hosted by the Franklin Chamber. And the website, the link is live on our website to go ahead and register.
Thank you, Rosie. And I'm gonna repeat that, and here's why. Jane has told me that when they do the minutes, if we don't talk right into the mic, it's not getting picked up. So make sure as council people, we talk into the mic where it can get picked up for the minutes. And Rosie just stated that our State of the City address is going to be March the 10th, and we're looking forward to it. So thank you, Rosie, and what the chamber does. Good partners. Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else, announcements, presentations, public comment? Hearing none, we will go to the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. There isn't any old business, so we'll go right into the new business.
Move to read new business by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to read by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Didn't think so. Thank you. We'll go on to the next item, or to item number 1, Common Council Budgetary Resolution number 22-01, authorizing a transfer from general fund to rainy day in the amount of $258,388.88. Okay, so this is going to be kind of a two-part. I'll talk about the second part later, but this part here is actually what we had out of appropriated funds that is remaining that was not used is $1,546,304.23. And talking with clerk's office, we've decided if we can put $258,388.88 into the general fund or into the rainy day fund. The remaining appropriation, which would be it looks like $1,287,915.35. In an item, I think it's item number 4, we'll be talking about that. We'll ask to move that into the general fund, which it's in the general fund now, so we would just ask to appropriate it. But this item right here is to put this into our general fund. We can do this tonight. We can have action on this one. If for some reason we get to item number 4 and the council believes that we should put more in the rainy day fund, we can do that in one meeting at another time. So this is just for this item tonight to put in the rainy day. I hope I explained that without talking too much.
258 to the rainy day,
There you go.
which we do almost every year at some point.
And actually, So let me go ahead, and I gave this first, I handed the sheet out there to everybody that shows what we did in the past. If you look down at the bottom of the remaining appropriations, like in 2017, 18, 19, 20, and 21, that shows what we've done in the past. So in the other column, it just shows, the funds that we've had January 1 of 2022 and January 1 of 2021. So that's the balances that we work with and the Board of Works a lot, so.
Bless you.
Is there any questions?
Mayor, I don't see any reasoning behind us not taking the 258,000 you're requesting. No other council members would like to comment. Obviously, floor is open, but
So I guess I could, the question that I would have, and I was going to talk about it in the item number 4, it's like if you look at Board of Works and says, why was there $1 million left in the Board of Works? Because last year we appropriated $1,114, and we didn't use all of those funds, and that's what we'll explain later in the other item number 4. So do I have any questions?
You need a motion to approve this?
We would need a motion tonight to move the funds to the rainy day fund.
So moved.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Next item, item number 2, this is introduction only. Common Council Budgetary Ordinance Number 22-01, an additional appropriation, Altair, 5X Gas, Altair,
Altair, yeah.
5X Gas Detector Grants, 2404-001-200, supplies in amount of $1,756.80. Fire Chief Matt Culp.
So this is a grant we got. The clerk treasurer's office already has the check, and I just need the money then appropriated into our account so that we can spend it on the item that requested. We requested a 5-gas detector, and it'll go on the new fire engine that you just authorized a month ago or whatever time frame it was. So,
Jane, this does take 2 meetings, right?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a appropriation, so it takes 2.
Okay, so I think that one's pretty cut and dry.
yeah. And that was through IPEP, which is our workman's compensation provider, was that grant.
Okay,
I'm glad you got that. How many years running have you gotten that grant?
10, 12.
Great, it's great.
okay, so if there's no questions on that one, that's introduction only. The next one is also introduction only, and it's also Fire Chief Matt Culp.
Yeah, so this is a.
Let me read it, please, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm ready to go.
Common Council Budgetary Ordinance. Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 22, my thing keeps bouncing here. 2202, an additional appropriation, Johnson County RMC grant, 24-112, supplies in the amount of $4,989.50. Fire Chief Matt Culp.
Yes, so this is a grant that we got a check for from Johnson County RMC's Operation Roundup. Again, the clerk treasurer already has the check. We just need it appropriated so that we can spend it. And it is going for an electric or battery-powered positive pressure fan. Right now, we only have internal combustion fans, and probably one of the big issues is that if something happened in one of the dorm rooms, you don't want to put an internal combustion engine in the middle of the building to blow out smoke and stuff like that when it's pumping a bunch of carbon monoxide into it because it's a gas-powered engine. So we need a positive pressure fan that's electric-powered, and it's this grant, and again, this will go on the new engine also when it comes in.
We cannot take action on this this
No,
evening.
it's intro
Another
also.
We have, Jane, when those monies come in, do you put them in the general fund, then we appropriate them out of the general fund? Right, so we've got it, we just need to appropriate it next meeting.
We get to hang on to it just a little bit longer.
That's right.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, this gets us also introduction. Item number 4 that I've referenced to a few times, Common Council Budgetary Ordinance Number 22-03, an additional appropriation, General Fund 1100-01, Capital 1100-01-005-400, in the amount of $2,617,915. So let me just say how we got to that. I'd said earlier, and what we usually do is the money that was left over from the year before, we usually appropriate that to the rainy day or the Board of Works General Fund. And the reason I put this down here at the bottom, I wanted everybody to see that we've been pretty consistent with how we've managed the money and the projects. And this part over here, like I said before, I wanted everybody to see that we're pretty consistent in what our funds have been. And I can tell you, the reason that there's so much in the general fund, more than what it has been, like a 2021, and then I put 2017 on there just to reference what it was at that time. But the reason it's higher, we got a one-time, in June, we got a $1,330,000, and I should have that number in front of me, but I don't, one-time appropriation. And what that is where the state, it would come from local income tax. When the state does their audit, figure out why do we have these funds, the portion that should come to the cities and counties, they distribute that at that time if they have an overage. The overage could not, it could be from several years, not just 1 year. And Mr. Peters, Jeff, has told me that we shouldn't count on, I don't know when we got a lit before, I haven't seen it. He said we shouldn't count on it every single year to get that. It's whenever they get audited and figure out they have enough money to spread it around to where it should go. So that's how we ended up with the lit. So the local income tax appropriation from the state. So we bid, we originally was just gonna ask to appropriate the $1,287,915, it looks like, that was left over. We was originally gonna do that, and then we bid, if you look on the back of the sheet that says 2022 projects, and you see Jim Black Road Phase 3. We bid those jobs just a week ago, Phase 2 and 3, and we got to such, what we think, good prices, because it was overall right at a couple $100,000 with Phase 2 and 3, a savings, or under budget, put it that way. It's not a savings, it's under budget. So talking, the RDC and Ann and Kenny, who's on the RDC, you've heard me talk before that we work together, and the RDC at this particular year couldn't, probably could do it, but it's gonna get us really, really close at the end of the year, and we didn't wanna get there, and we had the funds that we can do it out of the Board of Works with the special lit appropriation. So we're asking to appropriate all of what was the lit, the 1.3 and the 1.28. That's what got us to the number where we're at. And it would be the same as next year if the funds are not used. Then it would simply do like we're doing this year to bring it back and explain where it went to. And I'll tell you, I feel really good about laying this out, because it pretty much lays it out for the year. This is the projects we're gonna work on. And up on the screen, or the page of 2021, you see, we gave the list last year. This is what we wanna try to accomplish. We didn't get it all accomplished, but we got quite a bit, and the little stars there is what we got completed. Where it says funder, that's who's paying for the work, RDC or Board of Works or DPW, MS4, NDOT. So that, then we tried to roll some of those that we didn't get done. We rolled it into the 2022, and we may not get all of this stuff done, but if you want to talk about any of these projects, I'm more than willing to talk about it anytime you want, or it's pretty much laid there, and I think that's my case.
Steve, so some of these projects that you're looking at, you know, specifically some of the street projects, like concrete patching, street striping, crack sealing, we've already budgeted that, correct, for 2022, correct? I mean, we've already budgeted for these type of projects, correct? Or is this something in addition?
This is in addition, some of it, like this, like we could, the street striping, we probably could fit that into our regular Board of Works agenda that we have. But this is projects that there's gonna be money left over. And I told you last year that we wasn't gonna spend all that money, but I didn't tell you how much we was gonna have back. And I'm pretty sure that it'll be the same this year. We probably won't get all these projects done. We won't spend all the money, and we'll be, again, doing this again next year. At least that's my hope, and that's what Mr. Peters was talking about the other day, about for us to be able to do these projects. That's why we went the direction we've went the last meeting. So, like I said, I feel pretty good. It's sharing with the public. Right here it is. It's on our agendas. It shows what, I can't think of anything that we're missing here that we're gonna try to accomplish, but there could be something come up. And of course, if there is anything that's out of the ordinary, I would certainly come to the city council and keep you informed. And then you have Lisa here's on the Board of Works to help with managing the funds as well at the Board of Works level. And this is introduction only. If you have any other questions tonight, or you want to call next week and talk about some stuff, I'm more than willing to do that, so. Any questions before we move on with introduction? Okay, so that one is introduced. We will go on to the next one. Common Council Budgetary Ordinance Number 22-04, authorizing an additional appropriation for the non-tax supported funds. Clerk Treasurer Jane Rhodes.
Yes, sir, thank you. We do this every year. These are our donation funds, and they have balances in them, and every year we have to appropriate them for department heads to be able to spend them.
And this is introduction, and this is,
Also,
and it's, again, you hate to say this, it's what we do every year, but it,
but it is.
yeah, it is, so. Any questions for Jane on that? And I will tell you, the department heads, we just had this discussion today at our department head meeting, they do use these funds, and they're specified for certain ways to be spent by the people that donate the funds.
Do some of these carry over every year? In other words, so you just have to go through the whole process every year?
Whatever balance is left at the end of the year, then we go through, plug them into the new ordinance, and then,
It's like Maud Scott, one of them, used to be, or whatever, yeah, for the parks.
correct.
Okay.
And all of these are still valid projects that are in the works now, or are any?
Most of them are pretty widespread, so that as to, you know, one certain project, like, right, some of them like, if you look down, donations to the park, Walk a Hound supplies, well, that's the only thing we can use that $25 for, and that's why it's been hanging out there forever. They're restricted funds, most of them.
And they're all donated funds, just so everybody's
Correct.
clear.
And if you have to follow the donor's intent on the restricted funds. So some of them, we appropriate every year and never spend them. Then next year, we reappropriate them, and they're small amounts. that we
Right,
never
they're
appro- Right.
$25,
Right.
some of them. I think that may be the smallest one.
Okay, any other questions for Jane? All right, we're introduced. We will go on to the next one, and also introduction. Common Council Budgetary Ordinance Number 22-05, authorizing the creation of an American Rescue Plan Act plan and appropriating monies from the City of Franklin ARP Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund. City Attorney Lynn Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. And just as we've spent a lot of time talking about appropriating, I think it's important to note for members of the public, because I know you all know it, just because we appropriate something doesn't mean we're spending something we haven't already had. We're certainly not raising taxes or doing anything of that nature, but every year we have to identify those projects we're going to do and take what monies we have and then earmark them through the appropriation process for use on those particular projects. That's what appropriation is. The use of the word appropriation in this case is a little bit of a misnomer. And the reason that I say that is the American Rescue Plan Act, as you also are aware, identified monies that was going to come from the federal government to the states, and then the states would then in turn pass on certain amounts of monies based on a particular formula to local entities, being municipalities, who could then use it for certain types of COVID response projects. The federal government, on a fairly regular basis, will give us interim guidance as to what kinds of things we can use the money for and what kinds of things we can't, and it changes about every 30 to 60 days. The one thing that is very clear is that the municipalities are required to develop a plan of what they would like to do with that ARP money into the future, and we should have that plan in place by April of this year. That's what this ordinance addresses. So we really aren't appropriating the money. We are just developing a plan that would then appropriate the money when the time comes. The reason that I say that is this is a plan that can be amended if we find we have other plan or other needs that can be addressed through the use of ARP funds. And it's because if you use them in a way they're not permitted to be used, then you lose them, they can come back and you can have penalties. So we have to be pretty protective of what we do with those funds. The City of Franklin has been designated to receive the sum of $5,781,583.10 from APRA monies. To date, we have only received $2,890,791.55. So we obviously can't appropriate money we don't have, but we do put it in the plan. We have also received a sum of $665.69 because they do let us get interest on our $2 million. So the $2 million is here. The $2 million is in a fund designated, and you all passed an ordinance designating and creating that fund, so it will be here. This document, for introduction purposes only, identifies 3 projects that we think will meet the criteria for COVID remediation and use of those funds. The first one is the sewer improvement plant. The guidance from the feds seems to be pretty broad with regard to anything you wish to do to improve your water plants or your sewer plants, you can cover under these APRA funds. We obviously don't have a water plant, but we do have a sewer plant, which is in dire need of some upgrades, and the council was already thinking about that before COVID even hit. This certainly will help us get a screening building, which will really make it state-of-the-art at the sewer plant. The screening building will, and the reason it's COVID necessary is that because of the number of people that stayed home, because of the number of people that have a tendency to flush masks and disposable wipes, we have a big crisis out at the department, frequently having to clean it out, and a sewer screening building would stop that. So I don't think there's any question that sewer screening building would qualify under the APRA use guidance that we get. The second project we've identified is to renovate the fire station that we've needed to renovate in the past, but we've now noticed that we really need to renovate it because of a lot of the things that Chief has talked about. We need to create our housing separate a little better so that we can isolate people. We need to increase the ventilation systems to address COVID issues. We need to, I believe the common areas need to be adjusted, the entire building. And so we're pretty confident that this renovation will be tied to COVID remediation. And then any monies that might be left could be utilized at the active adult center. I think we found during COVID that a lot of seniors really needed that center and the resources that it could provide because of getting meals to them, having places where they could access electronic equipment that they may not have available to them, places that we could check on their health, their welfare. So a lot of things that really were brought to light during the pandemic. So those are the 3 projects that are identified in this ordinance. The ordinance is introduced tonight only. Part of the APRA rules say that we should have a public hearing, which I'm asking to be on your agenda next time to have a public hearing and think about that. And having said all of that, when we actually do appropriate it, we would come back to you and say, this is the project we're going to spend the money on. Here's what our bids are for that project, et cetera. But we need to get the plan in place, and it can be amended from time to time. Jane, I can't recall off the top of my head, when do we have to spend all of these monies? I think,
By the end of '24.
I think it's is it 2024 or 2025 when we have to actually spend it? So we have some time, but we need to get moving forward with the plan. So that's a bit of an explanation as to what's before you.
Okay. And just for information again for the council, we have met with several people, Lynn, Chief, and I, about the fire station. So we are in the process of working on the remodel plan for that. And that's something we've talked about for many years, that Fire Station 21 either needed to be raised and rebuilt or do a remodel. And I think I know we're going the remodel route, which is somewhere between 1 million and 1.5. And the sewer plant's gonna be right at 3 million, so that's where we're at.
Right. Right.
All right. Any questions for me or Lynn or Jane on that one? It's introduced. So is there any other business anybody wants to bring up? How about start with Irene on council comments? Put you on the spot first.
I have no comments.
Mr. Hukin?
No comments, Mayor. Thank you.
Nothing tonight, sir?
Lisa? Nothing. Mr. Austin?
Kudos to the street department for the snow removal. You guys did a great job. Continue to do well. Appreciate your efforts.
Ann?
Just echo what Kenny said. Thank you.
Sure.
Well, I'm just going to echo what they've said there with the street department and everybody else that helped. I even saw today they were out clearing the trails over on King Street there, and there's a lot of people that use that trail, so that will be a welcome now that it's clear.
I will say that the street department worked many hours, and they've got it down to a science on how to do it now. And also, DPW helped out and the Parks Department helped out. This was a true team effort this time. And
I'm happy to say Mayor pushed snow and no mailboxes were killed. So.
Okay.
Okay.
He's not used to going that slow.
So how about Morgan? Morgan Harvey, do you have?
So the Franklin Mayor's Youth Leadership Council, over the past few weeks, we have started to implement our Wi-Fi project by actually going to businesses and asking them if we can have their roof space to install the hubs. So it's getting underway and should be done within the next few months.
Are you having luck talking to the business?
I myself have not had a ton of luck in reaching out, but I think some other members of the council have. We're working towards it. It's gonna happen.
Good, thank you. Okay. All right, Ms. Gray,
Nothing.
Ms. Rhodes? I don't have anything, so,
Motion to adjourn?
Second? Second.
all right. Motion to adjourn of the second. All those in favor?